Benjamin Franklin used the habit of reflection to become one of the most influential people in American history. Now, I'm going to teach you why it's so effective and how to do it. What's going on, guys? It's Nick from Mindful Mastery, where I help you master your mind. Many people go through life and they don't think or reflect on what they can improve upon. Well, I have a metaphor that really symbolizes what reflection is. So think about the reflection of a mirror. Whenever you see yourself in it and your hair is a little messed up or your makeup's not on point, what do? You fix it. Well, it's the same concept with mental reflection. You will then begin to notice any negative or faulty aspects of yourself, and then you'll be able to improve or fix them. Now, there are two main ways to reflect, kind of. I say kind of because the general reason to reflect is to learn. Now, you can reflect on what you have learned in order to further your learning, or you can reflect in order to learn ways that you can improve upon. When you're trying to learn a new subject, oftentimes you just reread and re-go over whatever you're trying to learn. Now, this can be effective whenever it's spaced out over a period of time, but whenever you reflect on material, it helps you learn it so much faster than whenever you simply reread it. When you reflect on what you've learned instead of just rereading, it engages your brain a lot more and actually begins to train your brain to remember what you learned. This makes the neural connections so much stronger than simple repetition. Now, it does take a little bit longer than would if you were to just reread it initially, but the next time that you reread it will end up taking longer than if you try and reflect on it and try and remember what you learned. Now, in the long run, this will definitely pay out because it'll begin to train your brain, like I said, to remember what you learned, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. It will actually help improve your test taking ability. So think about it. What is a test? It's just recalling information. So if you practice reflection and recalling the information, then by the time that you get to the test, it'll be so much easier and you'll be used to doing it. And if you continuously practice the subject matter and recall it, then it'll begin to get stored in your long-term memory, which will help it being easier to recall during the test. This will also decrease the flood of information that goes to your brain, which will help to limit you in being overwhelmed. So the times that you need to reflect on your learning is whenever you're studying and whenever you go to a lecture. Now, the techniques are pretty similar, but whenever you're studying, after you get through a certain section in the chapter, then you want to try and recall as much information and key topics that you can. And whenever you think that you've recalled all the information that you can, then you'll go back and then check, and then you'll find information that you couldn't remember, and it'll click a lot better than if you were just rereading it because you were actually searching for it. Now, you can then do this per chapter instead of per section. It does take a lot longer to get to that point because if you try and remember after each chapter, there's a better chance that you'll forget more information. So I would recommend that you try and remember after each section first and then gradually build up to the chapter, and so that by the time that you get to that, you remember a whole lot more information. Now, it will take a lot longer initially, but the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it and the faster you'll be able to finish it. Now, the concept is pretty similar for lectures, but it can vary a little bit because some teachers give you the lecture notes while others just give you outlines, and even some don't give you anything at all and you have to do it on your own. So it is very important that you just make sure that you have the information. And then after the lecture, you'll reflect on what you learned and try and remember as much as possible. And then after you get all that you can or all that you think you can, then you'll go back and check, and then you'll have those moments of realization whenever you find what you couldn't actually remember. But you don't want to forget the information after that day. So I recommend the next 2 to 3 days you continue to reflect on what you learned just for a couple minutes and then go back and then see what you forgot, and then continue to do that. And then after those 2 or 3 days, you can start to space it out a little bit more. Do it every 2 days and then every 3 days, at least until the test, so that way you don't have to cram whenever you get there. So then your brain is more relaxed and rested and better able to focus whenever you're actually taking the test. The second way that reflection is beneficial is that it helps you to recognize your bad habits or attributes so that you can work to change them in the future. Because through reflecting, you'll begin to notice what causes those habits or attributes to arise, and then you'll be able to begin to change your reaction to those things so that you can become a better person and just improve in general. Now, I personally am very passionate about this, so if anyone else feels the same way, then reflection is definitely the thing for you, and you'll gradually begin to see the benefits and improve immensely. This is especially useful in helping you to achieve your goals. If you combine it with planning out your goals, then you'll be able to notice the effective ways in which you achieve those goals, and then things that actually hold you back, and so you'll be able to change it and then structure it in a better way in order to help you achieve those goals. Finally, it is very helpful in developing self-awareness of emotion. You can begin to notice whenever you react negatively to different situations, and so that the next time that it arises, you can begin to start changing how you react. And if you suffer from anxiety or depression, then by reflecting, you can realize just how wrong those opinions of yourself are. And if you combine that with thinking of things that you're grateful for, then it can greatly improve your mindset of life and really help to ignore those negative thoughts and have a more positive outlook. As with most habits that I cover on my channel, persistence is key with this. So you might not notice the changes as they happen, but keep at it because you'll gradually begin to notice. Now, it can be difficult to notice these changes as they're happening in general, so a good way to actually record that and notice it is by recording your reflections into a journal. Now, I talked about journaling in my stress video, and that's because journaling is very beneficial in combating stress, and it is a very good resource in recording your reflections. This will provide you with a treasure trove of information about how you have felt about yourself during certain times, and will help you notice the actual changes that had occurred from 1 month from now to 7 months from now. There will be a big difference in your reflections. The first way that you can journal is by reflecting daily, and you can actually do that in a couple different ways. And the first way is to reflect on what you wanted to achieve that day versus what you actually achieved that day. You can then start to realize the things that helped you reach those goals and the things that prohibited you, and then make changes to the structure of your day to actually help you in achieving what you wanted to. You can also write out how you felt emotionally throughout the day and what reasons were for how you responded in those emotional ways, and so that you can begin to recognize what causes certain responses, and so that you can change how you react to certain situations. Then you can write just a couple positive things about the day. Now, this is very useful for people that don't want to spend a lot of time journaling, because you can just write 1 or 2 positive things that happened throughout the day, but it will still have a good impact in helping to reshape your mind to have a more positive outlook on life. Now, the next couple ways that you can journal are just writing it weekly, monthly, and yearly, and those mainly focus on your goals and what you did to achieve those goals, and recognizing what really helped you to achieve them and what held you back from achieving those goals, and then trying to recreate those situations to improve in the future. The yearly reflection is very important in setting your goals for the next year and providing a framework for how you are going to run things in your life through that period. Now, there are definitely other ways that you can reflect, but they don't really record what you're actually reflecting on, so it makes the changes less apparent, but it's generally just thinking and reflecting on what you have been able to achieve and ways that you can improve. So there really isn't much different from journaling, but you just don't write it down, and it is a lot less time consuming. Whether you want to learn or learn how to improve yourself, reflection is definitely a habit that you would want to take up in order to do so. I hope you enjoyed the video today, guys. If you have any critiques or suggestions for a future video, then please leave them in the comments below, and keep mastering your mind.